Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grimflayer. Hope everybody out there is doing really well today, and we are back in the pilot seat for more Golgari Midrange and Modern. Everybody's favorite deck, and even though I've really liked the list that I've been using up until now, I've had really consistently positive results, have not had a league yet, and I believe I've played 7 total, on camera and off, where it's been worse than 3 and 2. Everything is 500 or better. However, we can always do better, and this list is attempting to do that. So the main thing to point out is Hex Drinker. I am finally testing Hex Drinker. It almost slots in perfectly to my old list as a one-of, but if we're going to test it, we might as well test it. So we're going to play 2. And there are actually a fair amount of changes to the rest of the deck. It's quite different from the last league that you saw me play, so if you want a full rundown of those, please see my preceding video. The first half of the video talks about, do we punt the blue-white control matchup, and by punt I mean we can still beat it with our core plan, we're just not dedicating any cards to it, basically. But the second half of that video is applying that principle to the list and making the changes. So if you want a deck tech, basically, for what we're playing today, you can go check that out. I did conclude that video at 61 cards with a cut to be made. Somebody in the comments suggested to cut a Fatal Push, which actually I've considered doing before, or at least moving one to the side, and in this list in particular, that seems surprisingly viable. However, at the end of the day, I decided we're going to pare down to 1 Unearth instead of doing that. We have seen Unearth, we do know how good it can be, but admittedly it can be a little bit clunky in multiples at times, so that is why we opted to just stick with what's tried and true and play the full 4 Fatal Push, rather than getting too spicy for our own good, right? So here we go, right into the league, and as we're finding our Stage 1 opponent, let's thank a Patreon supporter, Rocky Nice. Now, you may have heard Rocky get the shout out in a recent video because he joined up as a brand new Patreon just a few days ago as an Inquisitor. He has upgraded all the way, my friends, to the highest tier of support. Rocky is now of the Veil. Thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate it. And we've had a few of those lately, actually. Really mind-blowingly generous. Thank you so much. And to everybody out there, hit that subscribe button if you can to help the channel grow if you have not already done so, and you can visit the link in the description below if you would like to support this content directly, and Patreon is the way to do so. We found our match, here we go, let's do it. I'm having fun. Looking forward to playing this revised list. I was talking to another of the Veil Patreon supporter, Domenico. Shout out to Domenico. And we were saying how it's cool. Yeah, we can keep this hand. Double trophy early on is obviously awkward, but we'll keep. It's cool how, there was the first wave of hype for Horizons, and then it's not like we thought all these cards were going to be completely amazing and they all just bombed. It's almost like there's a second wave of hype where we didn't quite realize that things like Plague Engineer and Collector Roof, I don't think most people realized that they were as good as they seem to be. So, yeah, kind of like a second wind of Horizons hype. It's pretty cool. Opponent has mulled to 6. They will scry to the bottom. And, oh, there goes my hype. There goes everything. We're against Valakut. How annoying can we get? We're against Valakut. But, this is a beatable hand. We'll just take their turn 1 ramp. Hope to draw another discard spell next turn, or a threat. Either way, we obviously are happy to be on the Liliana plan here. Alright, none of either, so we'll just play out this Quagmire. Say go. The Liliana plan can potentially get us there. We just obviously need to find a threat sooner rather than later. And we're still to some degree at the mercy of their top deck unless we manage to ultimate with her. But she's a very good start here. Here comes a Farseek, I suppose. Unless maybe they drew a Tribe Elder or something else. Farseek, you got it. Alright, Fatal Push, huh? I think we can pitch that. Alright, still no threat. We really need to draw one next turn to have a degree of confidence. If not, we're just all in on the Liliana. Okay, Inquisition of Kozilek. That's actually really interesting. I think the first thing we're going to do is crack a Peatland. Inquisition could well whiff here. If they had something that was able to be Inquisitioned, then they would almost certainly have played it last turn, unless maybe it's a Lightning Bolt. So, let's crack the Peatland. Treetop Village, huh? Alright. I think we're just supposed to pitch Inquisition here. Again, anything besides Bolt that I can think of they would have played. And Bolt obviously just gets snapped off in a response to our Inquisition, so alright, Swamp is a pitch. They got a couple scape shifts out of their hand. That's something. I hope they don't have land plus Titan as their last card plus the top deck. That's what we need to fade. They have the land. Alright. We draw Bob. Do we triple Stone Rain? I think we've got a triple Stone Rain, right? There's just no way we don't. Opponent's fetching in response. One, two, three. Alright, this is still no guarantee, and it would have been really interesting to tick the Liliana up there, but with trophies in hand, I don't think that's correct. But who knows? Who knows? Alright, Bob, show us some good stuff here, buddy. Fatal Push land. Our top decks have been pretty miserable, not gonna lie. But the clock begins, I suppose. And Trophy is a really nice safety valve here. Opponent's continuing to hit all the land drops. That's pretty bad for us, but jeez, 2 more lands. All right. It's really tilting that we don't even have lethal next turn unless they have to fetch again. Well, we do with Hissing Quagmire, actually. Yeah, we can fire up both creature lands next turn. Alright, there's land number 6. They just... Oh, Relic, okay. It's not Titan. It's definitely not a Titan. Immediately crack the Relic. Sure, fine with me. Sakura Tribe Elder. Alright, well that's a blocker, but we're gonna pretty clearly push it, even though that's not good value. It's just gonna give us lethal. Oh, opponent's 6th, so... Alright, looks like we got there. Go get a land. Okay, good game. Took one off of Valakut, my friends. That does not happen every day. Their mulligan really helped, and Liliana, the Veil, of course, is what won us the game. So, alright, this is the literal last matchup we want to see of the top-tier decks. Excuse me, but as you can see, there is hope. Now, I don't know how good this exact setup is, but Fulminator Mage is pretty real. Obviously, Surgical Extraction as well. We do like our Collective Brutality, and then like the big stack of Horizons cards is not that impressive. You know, Plague Engineer is not the worst, but I think better on the play. But like if you can just keep the Sakura Tribe Elders off the field on the play, that's definitely not nothing. Might be better than some other things we're up to in the matchup, but we'll have to take a look at our main deck to figure that out. Spellbomb's pretty bad, Decay's pretty bad. I guess we like Hex Drinker for sure in this matchup. The clock is paramount. From there we want to... Alright, so these two are definitely out. These 6 are definitely in, and from there we are considering like trimming away at some of the less effective cards and some of the slower threats. I don't think we really want Plague Engineer on the draw, so let's just leave him aside for the moment. And everything else in our deck besides what I've put over here is pretty good. So I kind of don't mind leaving in like one Fatal Push for their value pieces. Obstinate Baloth, Courser, Tracker, things like this. Alright. I like that, so we'll cut 3 pushes, and we've got to cut either a Tracker or a Scooze. Just cut a Tracker, keep the 2-drop. The game can get grindy, but alright, well. Never want to see the Valakut deck round 1, but opponent keeps 7. We've got to keep this. We've definitely got to keep this. No hand disruption is pretty rough, but beyond that, I truly like the curve. It's just a bit slow on the draw, but it's not like we're against Tron, right? It's not so slow that we can't possibly get there. Well, there's our 3rd land, so sure. Tribe Elder, you got it. Okay, we draw Forest. Playing the Bob. Oh, and one thing I did not mention, I mentioned in the previous video that I referred you to earlier. We've got some aesthetic upgrades to the deck. I did talk about that in the other video, but yeah, Ravnica art on Confidant now. New art on Fulminator, which I personally am a fan of, and Abrupt Decay was the other art. We switched over to the promo art, so, you know, let me know what you think about those changes as well. Opponent's got that Valakut. We're untapping with Bob, that's pretty good. Okay, Fatal Push. We drew our 1 of Fatal Push. Probably not the greatest, but it could become relevant. Actually, next turn because we're going to Fulminator this turn, next turn we could go Lily, tick up, and then Verdant Catacombs push the Baloth if they have one. So, it's kind of why it's in the deck. Alright. Wish we had a Surgical for this Valakut that we're about to hit, though. That would be cool. Yeah, draw step Surgical there, and I would be feeling extremely confident, but next turn we also can just unearth Fulminator, which is probably the better play, to be honest, than Liliana. Lightning Bolt for Bob. Okay. Surgical Extraction. Well, asking you shall receive, huh? Alright. So what do we think about this play? We go Tracker, fetch, make 2 clues, unearth the Fulminator, pop the Stomping Ground, then draw step Surgical Valakut. We could also just play Liliana instead of Tracker, but I'm worried about an Obstinate Baloth still, and we now have something to do with our 1 mana, so yeah. Let's go for this. It's a beautiful thing, my friends. It's a beautiful thing. Alright, we're hitting the Valakut on the draw step here. It's a really big game for us, but they do have Baloth. They have Mountain, Baloth, Titan, Scapeshift. Scary hand. Lots of good variety of payoffs, but the Scapeshift's obviously less scary now. So let's make sure we take a look at what's actually in their deck as well. Get these Valakuts out of here. They have 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance. That is a scary card as well. 4 Relic of Progenitus, the 2nd Obstinate Baloth, 1 Tireless Tracker. They have a lot of technology for our deck. A lot of really good stuff. 2 Summoner's Pacts. Okay. So they play Mountain. They're going to hardcast the Baloth. Oh, Inquisition. If only you were a Thoughtseize. What a great draw that would be. We're just a little bit shy of being able to Revolt, Fatal Push, and then Liliana. So let's just begin by cracking a clue. Thoughtseize, that's the reward we were looking for, my friends. Alright, so we make a clue. We Thoughtseize the Titan, we push the Baloth, and then next turn we get to Liliana. All right, we need the good stuff to happen like this to really have a good shot in this matchup. So they find a Sakura Tribe. Scapeshift is the only card in hand. Fulminator Mage is a fine draw, except we just can't can't target anything yet. So let's get the clue train rolling here. Collective Brutality, we can just totally empty out their hand, but I don't even know if we care about the Scapeshift any longer. So let's attack and see what they do. Or is it better to just kill that thing to make sure we get our 5 damage across? Alright. We're gonna kill it. We're going to make the call to kill it. -2, -2. And we're going to take the Scapeshift out of their hands so they don't have a free pitch when we go on the Liliana plan next turn. Client's lagging. Okay, Gaul wins the match. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Well, 2-0 over Valakut. Not something you can say every day, my friends, but we admittedly had some really nice action coming our way. We do have the tools to beat the deck, as you can see. It's just that if we have, like, even only medium disruption, it's often not enough, and they have a ton of value pieces like Tracker, Chandra, Baloth, that they didn't really see too much of, so I'm still calling it the worst top-tier matchup for us, but it's beatable, and we just did it, so some fortunate progressions there on our side, and we start off with a nice win. I said in my previous video that I took the appearance of the 5-0 that I analyzed briefly from I Have the Flame as an Omen. That my thinking was on the right track for how to take the archetype in the short term. I'm gonna take that as an omen too. That's a real nice win. Alright, let's hope our luck continues. We won the die roll here, and hey, turn 1 Hex Drinker. Turn 3 Liliana, we've got utility, we've got Unearth. Sure, it's a keep. Alright, Hex Drinker, show us what's up. Show us why people are excited to have you in the deck, my friend. Opponent will mulligan. Opponent will keep 6. Going bottom. Sacred Foundry shocked in. Are we against burn? We are. Turn 1 Swifty. Am I trading here? Like, I'm not suspicious for any free spells because it's Sacred Foundry. If they have a free spell, then the block here is a complete blowout. If they have, like, the... Yeah, they probably would have just gut-shotted it and gotten in for 2, though. I'll take the trade. Another Forest. Alright, well... It's not the most impressive thing we've ever done, but we're going to unearth good old Hexy. And then just level him up. Yeah, it seems totally fine. There are way better turn 2 plays we could have, but... Searing Blaze will be annoying here, but... Yeah, they do have it. Well, fair enough. Means we get to go on the Liliana plan as ever. I don't think we're really supposed to play around Searing Blaze with a relatively low-value permanent like Hex Drinker there, but... Of course, we could have by just holding up Unearth, but again, I don't believe that to be correct. Interesting choice what to pitch here. Field of Ruin can actually do a lot of damage to their mana base, but this second Forest is nice for Scavenging Ooze. But there are only 2 Oozes in our deck, so I guess I'm pitching Forest, but it's a close call. I think taking them off white is a little bit more important, though. Potentially taking them off white, I should say. Oh, double creature. At least we have Fatal Push, at least the Liliana lives, but that's a little savage. Goblin Guide shows us a land. Cool. Alright. So I guess our turn's going to begin with a Thoughtseize, even though that's a pretty annoying card to have drawn. Notably, the opponent did not attack Liliana at all. So we can Edict and push here. Okay, Lightning Bolt, Skewer the Critics. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take away the Bolt. We're going to Edict the opponent. We're going to take them off of white. And then we're going to get another trigger from the Goblin Guide before we push it. So, pretty sweet. Ew, they got the Swifty, sure. That's a nice draw for the opponent, no question. Goblin Guide gives us another land. Nice. Alright, so Swifty's coming at me, Guide is coming at Liliana. We'll push the Guide. We'll take one, we can Edict the Swifty, unless they just skewer her. They're skewering us. Fair enough. Yep. Time to finally cash in the Liliana. Unfortunately, we are pretty flooded. Like, granted, some of that flood was Goblin Guide induced. But it would have been really nice to draw an actual spell there. But the opponent should have some dead draws, in theory. Blast Zone. Yeah, that's a good one, and I guess we play it. But I also guess we're supposed to attack here, so this puts us shields down to a haste threat next turn, but it does let us at least have the option to add a counter. Good against Eidolon. Skoos. Alright. Here's where pitching the Forest really comes back to bite us, but, you know, they have cards stuck in hand. Maybe taking them off white was correct anyway. But what do we do here? I'm kind of worried that they just have the ability to like bolt us out of the game here. So I'm gonna make the call to play Skoos, and even if it just gains 1 life and then trades with a spell, I think that's still good enough here. Obviously, if they somehow don't have an answer to it, that's even better. Okay, bolting us. Guess I'm eating in response here. Is this a skewer or a light up the stage? Skewer on the Skoos. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I mean, I could have run out the fetch to play around that, but fetching and shocking just seems really loose. Seems like we could have died to a lot of things there, and hey, we still... Ooh, Tireless Tracker. We still got the value out of Skoos without question. Think we're supposed to just crack a clue before we do much else here. There's so many good things we can draw that reward us for doing that. Another land is not really one of them. Alright, we'll pass. Goblin Guide. Yep. So are we supposed to fetch? Fetching puts us to 4, which only really matters against Boros Charm. And they don't have white, so that would be asking for kind of a lot. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to fetch. Maelstrom Pulse. Alright, well, let's make our clue. Let's crack it. Tarmogoyf. Alright. So we're going to attack here. Then we're going to play the Goyf. And we still have Blast Zone up. That way we're shielded against another haste threat off the top really well. Whereas otherwise we might be dead to haste threat plus burn spell. Opponent might also decide it's worth just gaining the life here, but by chump blocking. But they're going to be dead on board next turn anyway, with Goyf and a Giant Tracker and Treetop Village. So, might be correct for the opponent to have done that, but... Uh-oh. Arid Mesa. Oh no, don't have Boros Charm as your last card. Don't have it. No! Is it Helix? Oh no, it's the Charm, come on. That's insane. Right? That's just insane. I mean, we called it. We called it. We made the decision not to play around exactly that. I think that was correct, because remember at the time we didn't have, like, the Tarmogoyf, we didn't have this Maelstrom Pulse, we didn't have much going on in hand, we kind of needed to be mana efficient, especially because we're leaning on the Blast Zone. Oh, that's a tilt, though. Alright, interesting. Interesting way to end the game. So, Kalitas. We like Kalitas, we like Collective Brutality, we like Fulminator, and Plague Engineer seems pretty solid here as well. Not the greatest, but definitely better than a lot of bad cards. Liliana the Last Hope is pretty bad against Burn. It could, in theory, come in, but let's see how many actively bad cards we have. We have 8 actively bad cards, and we have 8 of these. So, Thought Seizes, Bobs, Nile, Spellbombs out. Kalitas, Fulminators in, Collective Brutality in, at least 2 Plague Engineers in. What do we like? Hex Drinker is good, Unearth is good. Everything else is that we know and love is pretty fine. Yeah, let's just play the 3rd Plague Engineer. Seems fine. Jeez, I'd be so confident here if I had just won that game. You're 1 turn away from the win. I don't think anything except White Land plus Boros Charm could have saved the opponent there. We'll play first. We've got a 2-lander with Push and a Brutality. That's a keep. And a Tarmogoyf. Hit our 3rd land, we'll be off to the races. All right. So, I think I'm actually going to take this hit. If I had a fetch land in hand and we could make the Goyf a 3-4, then I would push and then play the Goyf. But I'm just going to fully escalate a Brutality next turn. There's another Brutality, sure. So, escalate 3 modes, I guess, even though we've got a good hand. We're just going to pitch our 3 drops out here, I believe, to be correct. Alright, so they do have a Grim Lavamancer. Kinda glad I saved Fatal Push. They've got a couple Skullcracks. Boros Charm. I'm going to take the Charm because it's just the most damage. And we can play around the Skullcracks, hopefully, now that we know of them. And as we figured, they would play the Lava Man here anyway, so... I think we're just going to escalate twice this time. Kill the Lava Man, take a spell away, I suppose. And once more, pitching a 3-drop. Opponent found a Deflecting Palm. Well, that's pretty good against Tarmogoyf. That might actually be our take. Yeah, let's do that. Their hand's very clunky now. It's still technically kind of full of gas, but... Alright, there's a land for them. Another Tarmogoyf is a good draw. Should be able to win the game with these Goyfs pretty easily, I would suspect, given the life totals, unless the opponent finds Relic or Rest in Peace or something. So let's hope they don't. Sunbaked Canyon, getting the new draw. So good for burn. Alright. 2-turn clock with our Paragoyfs here. This one hits for 5. We play another one that's going to hit for 5. That makes 15 all day. And Hissing Quagmire. Okay, they got a Helix, so there's an 1-turn extension to this game. Skullcrack into Skewer. And the opponent's empty-handed. We're at 9 with a pair of 5/6 Goyfs. We're still pretty much forcing them to find... Yeah, okay. Apparently, they might not have Relic or Rest in Peace in the deck if they scoop there. Interesting piece of information to consider. We don't change anything on the draw here, I don't think. You know, again, you wonder whether all 3 Plague Engineers are warranted, but still probably better than Liliana the Last Hope. So yeah, let's do it. Alright, come on. Come on. We can do this. We can beat burn. We usually do. It's usually very close, though. It's usually very close. And we are on the draw this time. Oh, boy. Yikes. I mean, we've got so much pain out of our lands. The curve is fine. Inquisition into Goyf into Plague Engineer is a pretty good one. Our lands are so painful, but I think we have to keep it. Turn 1 Swifty. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, another Inquisition is a reasonable draw. This hand would be so much better on the play. I know most hands would against burn, but this one especially would be so much better on the play. Boros Charm Lightning Helix. Yikes department, lots of damage. We take a charm. We're taking, I guess, 6 this turn, probably. And just go for the most damage. Yep. Pretty rough. Okay. So, if we Inquisition now, we actually have... Like, that might realistically be our only window to take something away. That it's obviously pretty loose to let the Swifty hit us again. So let's game it out. Let's say we take away Lightning Helix. The odds of them having Stone Cold Nothing are really low, though. So the nice thing about Inquisition, though, is that next turn Inquisition is probably a likely candidate to whiff from here on out. And also we'd have to fetch this turn, whereas if we just Inquisition, we can play the Tomb tapped. Really, really interesting call. I think it is still just got to be the Goyf, though. Very, very tough call. We have reason to suspect they don't have the anti-Goyf technology in the deck because they just scooped last game. So they could very well be playing without Path or Relic or RIP. And therefore, if that's true, the floor of Tarmogoyf is trading 2 for 1, gaining us some life. So that is what we're going to do. Save us, Tarmogoyf, save us. Opponent shocking in that Foundry. Another Swifty. Okay. Helix to the face. Then what? Are you sending him in? Yep. Just getting all the damage across they can. Yep, you got us. Okay, Field of Ruin, bad draw. I think we have to Inquisition here. We have to hope we hit something and then they brick for a little while. We get a Helix, beautiful. So we could just play the Tomb, and that's an option, but I actually kind of like playing Nurturing Peatland here. Or at least I'm thinking about it. Just seeing another card seems really good, and next turn 3 mana should be 3 mana plus 1 black, 1 green should be enough to do anything we need pretty painlessly besides Liliana of the Veil, but I think we kind of need to dig here. So let's do it. Alright, time for the opponent to just brick. Cash in the Peatland. We find Hex Drinker, okay. I think we've got to play Plague Engineer this turn, though. And I think we've got to start racing the opponent like we're at 6. We're just going to die to 2 burn spells. There's just no choice, so... And we'll name Human because that tags Grim Lavamancer too. Alright, they got a Helix, so we're dead to any burn spell from here on out. Obviously a pretty bad place to be. And that's why it wasn't worth, like, playing around like a 2-for-1 Searing Blaze, like we just have to race. We just have to race. They rip Burn immediately. Oh, they rip Goblin Guide. Wow. They attack. Tarmogoyf is on top. Obviously, I'm taking this trade. Okay. Once more, we attack with the Goyf. Opponent will chump, because they know it's kind of burn or bust here. Ooh, yeah, we can't play Hex Drinker and Goyf, that's annoying. Unfortunately, fielding them here doesn't do much, but let's roll this back. Cancel. So, if we field them this turn, they brick, then we can field again next turn, take them off of white. That's probably correct. And since we can only play 1 spell this turn anyway, might as well be the Goyf. This gives us another green land for possible top deck Scavenging Ooze. We need the opponent to brick for 2 turns, basically. Ooh, Kalitas. I don't know if Kalitas actually changes anything, but still, ooh, Kalitas. It still might actually just be correct to field them this turn again, but... They have a Path to Exile, okay? Interesting. So we go get a Swamp. They take 4. Now, what does that change? We actually cannot play Kalitas without shocking in anyway. So we field the Foundry. We can then play Hex Drinker, level it up once. Or we could shock in and just say that if they don't kill us this turn, they're basically dead with the Kalitas on the field. But then we don't get to take them off of white, and they've seen a lot of their white cards already, though. They've seen a lot of white cards. So this is so interesting, isn't it? Such an interesting spot. I think we have to go for the Kalitas, though. It just makes them have it this turn or they're going to lose. We get to play Hex Drinker this way, too. Not that that changes much. Crossing our fingers, my friends. What did they... No, they got Skewer the Critics. Rift Bolt. Hardcast. Oh, no. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that we dropped that one to burn with the opponent needing... Not a perfect top deck there, just like a top deck, I guess, but they needed the perfect top deck in game one, and then they're... And them drawing the path the previous turn right before we could get them off of white. Jeez, that was brutal. That was a great game, though. No question about it, but really would like to be 2-0 right now. This hand's going to be awkward if the opponent has a bunch of 2-drops, but I guess it's a keep on the play. Man, that's a tilt. Like I said, great game, though. Well played to the opponent. Really intense. All three games were super close. Seachrome Coast, Ether Vial. Alright. Humans it is, I guess. Or something. Maybe Blue-White Spirits, I don't know. I guess we're going with a Bob on the play here, especially with nothing in the yard to grow the Goyf as of yet. But Maelstrom Pulse it was a good draw against basically an Ether Vial deck, you know. If they play another Ether Vial out this turn, I'm definitely just pulsing away both vials, I think. Horizon Canopy. Paying costs. Keeping us in suspense. Oh, reverse the tap. Thalia's Lieutenant. Alright. Is this a champion of the parish? Mm-hmm. Well, those are some big boys. Alright, Bob. Couple lands, alright. Pretty awkward here. Pretty awkward, admittedly. I think we have to attack because they're going to play a human next turn for sure, and then we just can't trade, so let's hope they take a trade here. Don't imagine that they will, but stranger plays have been made. Okay, no trade. Alright, so I think I'm just going to Pulse the Lieutenant and hope to draw an untapped land to Blast Zone away the Vial and the Champion next turn. It's a little annoying to expose the Blast Zone, but this is our highest upside play, and we also do have to slow them down here. Tarmogoyf is also finally able to be a relevant body now that we've got a little interaction under our belts. You know who's gonna relish this matchup is that triple Plague Engineer in our sideboard. They're just chomping at the bit here. Oh, jeez. They're playing straight out into the zone. Please draw an untapped land. Please draw an untapped land. Phantasmal Image for Dark Confidant. Interesting. One-time untapped land. We get it. Field of Ruin. So let's make sure we want to do that, because leaving them with the Bob is really annoying, but I think we just have to. It's a 3 for 1, and our 1 is a land, right? And I'm actually going to stay back with my Bob here. Very happy to trade it with their Bob. It might not happen. They could have a Reflector or something, or they just choose not to make the trade, but we're way ahead on resources now. We have to respect their ability to aggro us out of the game. Therefore, we do play defense, even though there are a decent number of things that can punish us for it. Opponent found a freebooter off of the Bob. I kind of hope they don't cast it. You know, they probably have something better to cast, but if they do cast it, that's actually kind of annoying, because we only have one piece of interaction in hand, and we'd like to definitely use it next turn, I believe. Pretty much no matter what. Maybe that's not true. We'll see. We'll see what we draw. We'll see what they do. Ranger Captain of Eos. I love this card. I think it's so cool. They go get a champion. So they've got the card advantage rolling. They've got the Bob. They've got the Ranger Captain. But we've got card advantage of our own. We draw Fatal Push. That's nice. But I think we're just going to brutality away their Confidant for now. It's pretty annoying that we cannot do anything else, though. So maybe we actually just push their Bob and play a Goyf. That's probably better now that I'm looking closer at it. Alright, so we've stopped, you know, they've got a few 2-for-1s here, but we're still ahead on resources pretty significantly. Still have the same kind of role in this matchup to just stabilize. Just stabilize by hook or by crook. Here comes the freebooter, I suppose. Yep. It's a good one here, but we at least have we have a kill spell of sorts next turn either way. They take the brutality, as expected. Alright, so I don't mind just continuing to hit lands off of Bob, obviously painless, but let's just continue having double spell turns. Alright, he did it. Good job, Bob. We could actually field away their Canopy this turn and then play Liliana. That's kind of cute. How good is that? Stops their redraw. The other thing we could do is obviously just go Liliana into Goyf. And I think that's correct because that's better against Reflector Mage, and it lets us attack with the Goyf this turn, which I think is quite relevant. So let's attack. Edict you. Play another Goyf. Seems pretty good. Obviously, Kite Sail can kill her on the crackback, but unless they have another way to stabilize against Tarmogoyfs, they are probably not going to have the luxury of doing so. And again, Horizon Canopy hitting the canopy with Field was live, but ooh, they sack the Ranger Captain? It's interesting. I was going to say maybe I could have main phased the Liliana to see what they do, and then I could have gotten with the Bob too, but I think we'd be leaving the Bob back either way in case of Reflector here. Tarmogoyf OP. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay, they do feel able to attack our Lily off the field with the Freebooter. Interesting. It just made the Goyf mad, though. Now they're dead to one Goyf plus a Bob connecting. We also can fire up Hissing Quagmire. Ooh, Phantasmal Image on Tarmogoyf. Yeah, that's good. Alright, let's draw removal. Let's draw some removal. We're drawing 2 cards per turn, we should be able to. Yeah, Trophy and Inquisition, sure. So yeah, let's just Trophy the Goyf. Should be GG. We could have trophied the Freebooter, got back the Brutality, but yeah, they're just dead. Especially game 1, there's nothing they can have. So, cool. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. I will take it. All day, every day. And like I said, my friends, the Plague Man. The Plague Man is hyped for this matchup. So are some of our other old standbys like Liliana, the Last Hope, and Kalidas Traitor of Get. Collective Brutality is good too. Don't look like we have anything else in here. Spellbomb can come out yet again. We're not facing the Spellbomb decks. Not that I'm complaining about that. I think that's just fine, actually. But Spellbomb and Thoughtseize are our worst cards. We have 6 to bring in. And my usual is to just like trim a Liliana and a Bob. Arguably trim more of them on the draw, but we just don't have that much more else to bring in. We could also cut a Tracker, but that's probably more of a concern if you have 3 of them already. So do we like just trimming 1 each of Bob and Liliana? They're both a lot clunkier in multiples, especially on the draw. Everything else in our deck is sweet. Don't know how good Hex Drinker is here, but we might find out. Cool. Alright, love taking game 1 off of humans. We do get better post-side for sure. Our hand's great. We hit a 3rd land, we'll be absolutely crushing it. Really rewarding to hit double Inquisition in your opening hand when you only have 3 targeted discard in your entire deck. That's just awesome. And we hit our 3rd land. Our lands are a little bit painful. That's kind of the only bad thing about this hand, but alright. Opponent has Thalia's Lieutenant, Meddling Mage, Double Mantis Rider. Stuff's all really good. I don't think they're likely to name anything in our hand with Meddling Mage, so we're going to leave the Mage. So it's either do we take a Rider or do we take away a Lieutenant? If I was on the play, this would probably be a lot easier of a decision. I think we take the Lieutenant now. Just gotta slow them down. Make them draw a 3rd land. To have their hand be good. Also leaves us the option to just simply go Inquisition into Tomb next turn in order to make our lands less painful. Fatal Push is the name. That's the correct name here, for sure. Field of Ruin. Alright, Painless Land. So, how interested am I in playing Bob here, actually? That's a consideration, but I think we're going to fire off an Inquisition here, because we won't have a window to next turn, and it's just loose to leave the Mantis Riders in hand. Alright, they have an Ether Vial as well. Sure. The free attack this turn hurts, but hopefully they don't have a creature off the top. They have the champion. Well, that's going to die to the Plague Man, at least. So we're going to get a kill plus a debuff next turn with the Plaguester. It's going to be great. Tireless Tracker, sure. Plague Engineer. What a card. What a Magic the Gathering card. We'll name human, thank you. See ya. See ya, dude. I might even take a trade here with Champion. That's just a sweet 2-for-1, and it gains us, you know, like, let's say they play a creature this turn. 2-for-1 gains us 3 life. Seems good. I'm going to do it because we could otherwise lose to Reflector Mages and so on. I think this is a fine play. Given what our hand is. Trophy. Okay. Think we're just taking our guaranteed kills where we can get them. I don't mind if we lose the Liliana to a Mantis Rider next turn if they do finally hit that third land. And I'm also not going to worry about the Tracker Clue. We're just going to play our land out here. Okay, they have a 1-drop to Violin. That's fairly punishing, but at the same time, it's not like we need to unlock our Fatal Push here, right? We just don't have one, so... they got the third land. Okay, I mean, at least they're totally out of gas now. But, and at least we have Trophy for the Rider. So, you know, all things considered, I suppose it could be worse. So, 2 at Lily, 3 at us, maybe? Yep. Alright. So, now we draw Dark Confidant. Bad draw. Bad draw. I think I'm actually supposed to field the Canopy here. We don't want them to get a redraw when they've got 3 lands, a Violon 2, and they're empty-handed. So even though it's going to cost us a life, because we're going to have to use our Peat land on the Rider, it might save us life in the long run by fixing our mana. And again, it's taking them off of the draw is the crucial thing here. Definitely getting Forest here in case we find a Scooze. And we'll pass, but we have to Trophy the Rider in response to any Vial activation, in case they have another Meddling Mage naming Trophy or a Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. We could have technically draw stepped that, but they usually play at least 2 basic lands. Alright, so we'll go to 7 here. And we've got some pretty bad cards in hand. That's our only problem. Like, if we had just better spells in hand, I'd be pretty confident. But as things stand, it's hard to say. Little hard to say. Noble Hierarch. Alright, well, I wouldn't say no to another Plague Engineer. Instead, it's a field. Alright. Tireless Tracker time. I don't think we're playing any Bobs out, especially with Peatland here, so I'll just pass. I'll take a trade if they offer it here. That I will. Yep, gotta do it. If they've got a lieutenant to violin, we can crack the clue. Not necessary. Alright, they found a land. So, I think it's actually worth it to spend a life. Oh no, we don't have to spend a life, we'll just crack our peat land. Makes our mono worse a little bit, but I think that's better than spending the life. Either way, we need to see another card here. Unearth. Okay, great draw. We could unearth the Plague Engineer and just kill the Hierarch and hose debuff them, or we could unearth Tireless Tracker. I think we've got to go with the Plague Man, though. Quite nice. Quite nice. And is it even a consideration to play a Bob? I still would rather draw here, I think. Fatal Push. Alright. I was just about to say maybe should have waited just to crack the clue, because there's actually nothing besides Hex Drinker, I suppose. Maybe Hex Drinker's enough incentive to just have main phase the clue. But that's going to be bad if they top deck exactly Mantis Rider, that we no longer have Revolt available this turn. Viling in something on 2. Kitesail Freebooter. Ooh, tilt. Oh no, we can push it in response. What am I talking about? Yep. See ya. It's not Tide Hollow Sculler. You can't do that with a Sculler because it's 2 separate abilities, but Freebooter, if you push in response to its trigger, or remove it in some other way, what happens is it just reveals the hand and nothing else. Okay, we're going to continue just not using our Bobs. Tracker gives us some more inevitability. We don't want to get cheesed out by, like, Bob hits into Mantis Rider off the top. This is why I do like to trim Bobs, especially on the draw. He was great in Game 1, but here in Game 2, they're pretty dead given how aggressive the opponent was in some parts of the early game. Reflector. Okay. Reflector on the Tracker. I guess that's kind of what they have to do. Awkward. But we'll play it. I'm going to save this Field of Ruin for an opponent somehow tapping a Horizon Canopy and giving us a window to hit it, but probably just really to make a clue with Tracker once we get him back down. Ooh, Last Hope, huh? Think we're just kind of playing out both cards here. And I'm also just going to be super conservative and sit back with the Plague Man because they could have, like, Thalia to Violin or something. Intense, my friends. Very intense. It's been a great league so far. Lots of really interesting, tight games. Uh-oh. What do you find now? Another Reflector. That's the tilt. That's what we don't like to see. This time they bounce the Plague Man. But Liliana's still putting in work. We found a trophy. Alright, let's make a clue. Get a forest. We're going to immediately crack it, trying to keep the value train going. You know, finding another land is fine here. Collective Brutality. Interesting card, but it doesn't quite do anything yet. So we're definitely just holding up trophy, but that's a good find. It's going to let us cash in our Bob for... Or we could just kill a Reflector Mage right now, actually. We get blown out if they have Thalia's Lieutenant to Violin, but maybe we're supposed to make them have that. That said, we can do all this again next turn. So let's just pass, we'll hold up trophy, and next turn we can put together a combined kill if we need to with Brutality plus Last Hope. Alright. Activation of Aether Vial is annoying because it could be Thalia, or it could be Meddling Mage. But I think it could also be Kitesail Freebooter. Alright, let's just take a guaranteed kill here, I guess. Trophy or Reflector. Feels bad, but probably correct thing to do. Phantasmal Image for Tireless Tracker. Oh boy. Well, that just actually kind of gets them one clue. Unless they can immediately kill Liliana this turn somehow. She'll just take up and kill that, but it's still pretty spicy from the opponent. Alright, we draw a fetch land, so we get to do kind of everything here. Take up, kill the tracker. Think we're just replaying the Plague Man here, and then yeah, okay. The opponents had enough. We had all kinds of powerhouse progressions here. The opponent stuck with us. And our life total was low enough that we had to play extremely conservatively. But that was the path to victory, my friends. That was a feel-good one. How good would we be feeling if we just didn't get the game stolen from under us by Burn, though? We'd be 3-0, and that would be really nice. But as it is, we'll still take the 2-1. With 3 good games, and with the new build looking really slick. Looking real nice. Oh, jeez. Somebody shook up my seltzer. I just got wrecked by my seltzer. Somebody's trying to sabotage me. Alright, we're on the play. It's a keep. We've got Liliana's on the play. It's a functional hand. Sure. Quagmire, go. Cycling Street Wraith on the end step. Looking like a shadow deck, excuse me, to me, my friends. Looking just like Grixis Death Shadow. So, Liliana's one of our best cards there, but it's possible that they don't make it to the board between the prospect of second discard plus Stubborn Denial. This is a fine matchup for us overall, though. I definitely don't hate this matchup in the least. Really wish I drew, like, Dark Confidant there. Would have been perfect. Or discard of my own would have been fine. Because I really just want to make sure this Liliana somehow gets through. But again, without having a way to ensure that or an alternate threat to kind of compel them to do something else, I don't expect them to. Okay, Esper Shadow. This is the new hotness. JVP. Okay. Pretty clearly just gonna push that and then Lily tick up, right? Like, if I had more spells in hand, I might consider just untapping and edicting, but their deck doesn't play Lingering Souls, does it? That's the only way I think we get, like, punished here for this line. They know about our fetch land, so I will use one that otherwise I would just pretty happy to play the forest. And who knows, maybe, I mean, maybe we're pitching the forest anyway, so maybe we should have just done that. Doesn't matter. Very, very minor decision. Alright, no Lingering Souls. They pick an Opt. Alright, our position's great, as far as I know. I don't know too much about the Esper deck. I haven't seen it yet. I know that Ranger Captain of Eos, like we saw from Out of Humans, is definitely something that can see play. There's another reason to be in white, another major compelling reason, but I can't, I'm blanking on what it is right now. They've got Unearth too, the spice is real. Unearth into what, discard, or is it Gurmag Angler? Looks like an Angler, so that's fine, we'll Trophy and Edict. And we're going to Edict first, so that they don't have... Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. Or we can just Fatal Push. Yeah, that's a nice draw. So we push. We empty our hand, then we get to tick up again. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And there we go. Opponent's got the Opt. They've seen triple Opt already. Interesting. They will top with the Opt. And they pitch a Godless Shrine. Okay, opponents really got to find an answer to our Liliana here. Wonderful card against any Shadow variant. Again, unless they play Lingering Souls. Snapcaster Mage for Unearth, I assume. Now that's some good value. That's really good against Liliana. This Jace won't go away. That's the second time he's been unearthed. Alright. Well, we kind of need to draw action again here. Tarmogoyf is fine. Yeah, it's a fine draw. Edict you, there goes Snap, and then we'll play the Goyf. I'm hanging on to this Verdant Catacombs since, just in case Tireless Tracker shows up. I'm not cracking it for that reason, because Tracker is beast mode here, absolute beast mode. Looks like they will be able to transform the Jace this turn. It seems. Nothing we can do about that. We already killed him twice. I mean, fortunately they don't have anything amazing to flash back. It's just kind of the Opt, which admittedly is just lots of value. So they can shrink our Goyf by -2, -0, but instead they're going to just cast a free Opt. Well, they're a tiny bit flooded, but they found a lot of really good mana sinks, despite being flooded. And they had yet another land, but they're fetching, which means there might be another Gurmag Angler coming down here. Which would honestly be fine. The Ranger Captain, what? Such a good draw. Yep. Man, opponent putting together some real good stuff here. And so are we. Fatal Push right off the top. What a draw. This has been... Both decks have looked really, really slick here, I'm not going to lie. Both decks have looked really strong. Who says midrange is dead? We've got two powerhouse midrange decks doing a lot of real work. We're 1 mana away from just having lethal. So just kill the Jace, I guess. Gotta love Fatal Push. Gotta love Liliana of the Veil, really. Like, that's been the absolute all-star of this matchup. That's gonna do it. Nice. Very, very nice. So, before we move away, we've seen Ranger Captain. It's the only kind of white thing we've seen. Probably just gonna sideboard as though it's regular Shadow. But let's see what exactly that means with our new build. So we've got a lot of really interesting cards. We're considering these 9. I don't mind leaving in like a Thoughtseize, but usually I have just what I consider to be better cards to bring in, so we can cut all of those discard spells. We'll cut the Brutality. And I guess we're cutting a land. Normally against Grixis Shadow, I cut Forest because our utility lands are really good, and Blast Zone and Field of Ruin both seem really good here. I don't know if they play Path to Exile, and therefore I don't know if cutting like a Blooming Marsh is better, but I'm going to guess I'm cutting Forest until I see Path, and even then we might not care that much. They can't play that many paths. It's just not their game, right? So, do we want all 3 Plague Engineer? I could see only playing with 2. Like, it's fine, but it's kind of more of like a Death Touch body than really anything else. I do like everything else here, though, so that's 59. We could maybe even play with 1 Thoughtseize on the draw. For some reason, the Thoughtseize is seeming a little bit more appealing to me against the Esper variant, but I've played exactly 1 game against it, and you just saw that. So who knows? Plague Engineer is interesting and a good role filler in the matchup, but I think I'm going to play a Thoughtseize. I'm going to play a miserly 1 Thoughtseize, and I think this is a pretty good setup, all things considered, but I do need to know more about how the Esper decks are constructed. So if you have any insights, my friends, feel free to let me know. This hand plays. It's not great, but it's not a mulligan either. And the opponent took the play. Like every Shadow player I've played against in competitive leagues, Grixis Shadow in the last few months has taken the draw against us. So I don't know if Esper changes the math or if our opponent's just not a believer in that line of thinking. Opponent's got the turn, they just straight up fetch for a Hallowed Fountain. Alright. Hex Drinker it is. Another trophy's a fine draw here. Can't get too caught up in the early game progressions, though, unless one side is just backbreaking, because these games go long, there's a lot of back and forth, and it's all about the top decks after a certain degree. They Thoughtseize away our Unearth, leaving us with double Assassin's Trophy. Mighty interesting. Mighty interesting indeed. We draw Blast Zone. That's a good draw, a little awkward with Hex Drinker, but looks like they had plans to kill it, because they took away Unearth. So, let's go Swamp. Do we even attack? Like, putting them to 13 might be a little loose, but I don't know if we are supposed to attack. I'm gonna do it, though. We have a lot of answers to shadows in hand, so like unlocking their shadows is not something that I'm necessarily afraid of. And then I guess instead of holding up trophy, we're just gonna level this thing up twice, even though they probably plan to kill it. Like, they also know about our trophies, so. Hex Drinker, huh? So far it's a Savannah Lions, basically, but obviously I understand the power that it brings to bear in certain situations. And they go Fatal Push, using the Pain Land, interesting, to turn on Shadow, maybe. Fatal Push and pass. Well, Field of Ruin, huh? You know what I think I'm going to do is just field that redraw while I can. Once again, we're going shields down for a turn. I think that's totally fine. I think we're just taking value where we can find value. All right. Opponent's got all the land drops. I don't know if that's good or bad. They do have Lingering Souls. Ooh. Oh, that's a tilt. Blast Zone cannot handle that. Unlike our friend EE, Blast Zone cannot handle that. Well, we're going to play Goyf. They probably have another kill spell. Then we're in trouble against these souls. I hate playing against this card. It's a cool card, like, and it's a big appeal to playing fair white decks, I guess, even though it's not that well positioned right now. But I just hate playing against it. Unless I have Nile Spellbomb, or, like, I'm ahead and I have Liliana, the Last Hope, I can just mow them down. Okay, here comes two spirits. Sure. Not flashing the other one back. Not doing anything. Plague Engineer naming spirits. That's pretty awesome. Let's attack with the Goyf, see what happens. Well, maybe Plague Engineer is better in this matchup than I was thinking, just because they are in fact on souls. Maybe try to draw out removal here. Kaya's Guile. Yep, we're edicted. Our yard is exiled. You got us. And part of me is tempted to slow roll that Plague Man, but I think we are supposed to just play it now, because, like, yeah, this lets them maybe remove it before the back half comes down. But they could also just have a discard spell for it, and then that would be no value gained whatsoever. So, Plague Engineer. Wow. What a magic card. I love this card. Absolutely love this card. I think it's so good. Opponent's got a big play to make, because they fetched and shocked. We still have 2 trophies and a Blast Zone in hand. We are all full of interaction. Ranger Captain of Eos, yep. If you just go get a Shadow and play 2 Shadows, I would be okay with that. Play another Shadow. Play another Shadow. No, okay. Alright, well, I think I'm going to try to trophy away the Shadow on the unstep. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just going to kill it with the Blast Zone. Hang on to the trophies. Could also just trophy the Ranger Captain and start clocking with the Plague Engineer. What do we think about that? That's the proactive thing to do. Let's give it a shot, I guess. Again, we're soft to discard if we just play really cautiously, so yeah, I'm gonna try to trophy the Captain. They might be on Stubborn Denial. That's a pretty fine thing to get out of their hand this way. We draw another trophy. That's really good. Alright, Blast Zone. Kill your Shadow. This turns on Fatal Push if they have it in hand, but it's still correct to do this, in my view. Plague Man getting in. Attaboy, Plague Man. Attaboy. Shutting off the back half of souls. Opponent will opt. Alright. Obviously, they've got a lot of live draws, but most of them can be answered by trophy. We basically want a Fade removal, or a Liliana at this point. Thoughtseize. Sure, we just let it resolve. We can't fire both off on lands, even if we wanted to. Okay, the opponent's at 3 now. Now they really gotta find something in quick. Is it another Ranger Captain? Yeah, it sure is. Oh boy. And they're gonna sandbag the Shadow. So we're definitely not firing off this trophy. Because of a soft Stubborn Denial could be live. We draw Thoughtseize. Our one of Thoughtseize is the draw. Nice. Very nice, not gonna lie. I hope their last card is Stubborn Denial, because then we just get to take the Shadow, trophy the Captain, and put them to 1. Looks like it might be. Or are they just opting? Stubborn Denial. Yes, I will pay. Thoughtseize will resolve, taking the Shadow. We trophy the Valiant Ranger Captain. And then the Plague Man cometh. The Plague Man is on his way. Alright. Now we're both empty-handed. We're both in top deck mode. If they answer the Captain, then they can flash back souls and suddenly they're ahead. But they can't, and the Plague Engineer gets it done. Getting it done like a boss. Admittedly, all of our interaction was really good here, too. Like, we had Blast Zone was awesome. Trophies were great. Thoughtseize was perfectly timed. The one of Thoughtseize, the tech, the spicy hedged tech paying off. And Stupid Burn, the matchup that I think is just kind of in the bag for us most of the time. Crippling our chances at the 5-0, but it's all good, my friends. Our deck looks awesome. Our deck looks awesome. We cashed this league already. We're playing for the 4-1, and the Plague Engineers are awesome. I guess I'll tell you now so I don't forget. I played one league off camera with this because I didn't want to do another replay. I've been doing a lot of replays lately. I wanted to give you a live recorded video, but I had a little time yesterday broken up to squeeze in matches, and I went 3-2. Got a little unlucky, I think, but all 3 Plague Engineers came in from the side in all 5 matches. So what does that tell you? The card is amazing. I'm really high on it. So we're on the draw. Do we mulligan this one-lander? It's a really good hand, but probably supposed to mull. So close yet so far. This is a fine 6. We'll keep. Opponent's down to 5. I like that. Okay, so opponent at 5, Collective Brutality. We have 2 trackers in hand. I think we just have to bottom the Brutality. Like, we already have kind of the 2 halves of Brutality naturally anyway, with Push and Thoughtseize. The opponent didn't play a land. Alright. I guess we're Thoughtseizing, but that makes me kind of scared to Thoughtseize. But, you know, even if it's like Dredge or something, you know, obviously they need lands to do much. So we're going to Thoughtseize. We're going to assume we don't get horribly punished in some unforeseen way for doing this. Okay, they just scoop to conceal information. Well, that's a free win game 1. So can we realistically do anything? I know what we can do. We know Plague Engineer is awesome. Let's just bring in all 3. I'm half serious. I'm half serious. But no, in all honesty, that could be Tron. It's not Tron. The Tron would mull to 4 if they had a no-lander. Unless the opponent just misclicked, but we cannot assume that. We assume they kept a no-land 5. I guess we're assuming it's a graveyard deck. Right? Okay. So I'm going to make a very, very minor hedge based on a pretty speculative guess. I'm going to bring in a second Spell Bomb, which is still not really dead, even if I'm wrong, and we're going to cut a Liliana of the Veil. Again, we're assuming a graveyard deck, but who knows? All right. That's not too much of a change to ask. We could also maybe have gone a little further, brought in like a Kalitas for a tracker or something, but we don't want to speculate too much about what the opponent could have. And we're going to find out because they kept 7. If this is a graveyard deck, our hand is very bad, but it's a functional hand. We're treating this like a blind game 1, so we'll keep it. Blood Crypt Faithless Looting, so the graveyard call was correct. A double Vengevine in the yard. Major yikes. And we will play a Hex Drinker and hope they don't have the rest of what they need to go off. But it looks like the good old Hogaak Vine to me. Hogaak Vine. Altar of Dementia. Alright. We draw Hissing Quagmire. Or we draw Field of Ruin. But... oh boy. Yeah, we're looking pretty dead here, I think. Unless they just don't have a way to get any creatures down. Alright, whatever. Savannah Lions, show us the beats. Drawing double Hex Drinker is usually pretty awkward, I guess, when you only have 2 in your deck and when it's a matchup where they're bad, right? So far, this league hasn't sold me on Hex Drinker, I'll be honest. The other stuff's looking way better. However, I fully acknowledge that we haven't seen it in the right times and places, or even indeed just the right matchups, maybe. But right now, I'm impressed by other things, but I'll keep testing it. Opponent's got the Bridge from Below in the yard, so they've got everything. We could do a few things here. We could play a Tireless Tracker, just try to race as hard as possible. We could level up a Hex Drinker as kind of a different way to race, but not that great of a way. Or is it? So if we make it a 4/4 this turn, we hit for 6, then next turn we just, if they have no creature, we just have lethal. Swinging for another 6 plus the Hissing Quagmire. The other thing we could do is play the Blast Zone and put a charge counter on it this turn, and then next turn hit the Altar of Dementia. But I actually think it might be correct to just race. I mean, we're not disrupting them in really any meaningful ways, so let's just race with these Hex Drinkers. Alright, opponent. Can you put a creature that blocks on the field? Yes, you can. Okay. Gravecrawler gets sacked, they make all their zombies, life sucks. I think it's reasonable to make them have that there. Like, if we went on the tracker plan, obviously that's just kind of a worse way to race them, and if we went on the Blast Zone plan, they'd still have this anyway. So, what are you gonna do? Now, we can make the Hex Drinker a 6/6 protection from everything this upcoming turn. And maybe that's actually enough to just beat them. Who knows? Probably not. They can probably just mill us out here or something. Oh boy. Well, Hex Drinker showing, like, again, if we're treating this like a game 1, which for all intents and purposes from our side it was, Hex Drinker showed us that despite a hand that lines up terribly against the opponent, it is, a semi-realistic way to race them, kinda, sorta. Alright, so the opponent's just going absolutely off here. They haven't started milling us yet, but maybe they will now. While we're watching and waiting, I'm going to do a little experiment. It's summertime now, in case you haven't noticed. I'm kind of sweltering in this room. My office doesn't have air conditioning, and I don't want to put the fan on while I'm commentating, because it's probably really annoying to listen to, but tell me if that's true. Here comes the fan for a minute. That's the fan on medium. Probably makes things pretty unlistenable, I would imagine. There's the fan on low. Probably still not doable, but let me know. I might relocate my computer down to a cooler room and or an air-conditioned room. We'll have to see. The opponent is completely out of cards in their deck, so they've gotten absolutely maximum value out of their graveyard. Then they're just going to mill us out. So I assume we're deterministically dead. I don't actually know, though, and it's round 5 of a league, so I guess we're just going to sit here and play it out. I'm not trying to be a jerk if they do have the deterministic win. I just haven't been milled by this deck yet. I obviously know it's one of their win conditions, but we've come this far, might as well just let them do it. So I'm still not 100% sure if I know how to sideboard against this deck optimally. I know the broad strokes, obviously, those are pretty clear, but I haven't played this deck all that much. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what we have in our sideboard. Kalitas, Surgicals, Plague Men, Grafdigger's Cage are the obvious ones. We should probably be looking at what's all in their deck post-side here. I don't see that much. Lightning Axe might be a sideboard card, Dark Blast as well. This all looks pretty stock otherwise, doesn't it? And we've seen their entire deck, so yeah. They don't look like they have like Nature's Claim style effects in, but then again, maybe they assume we won't have our ley lines in if we're on the ley line plan. Alright, we've been milled out. I don't know what the opponent's tapping for here. Get the hog back? Sure. Just for style points, to oversee the carnage. And he got us. Alright. Kind of an annoying deck, obviously, not gonna lie. But we do have some reasonable tools against it, and I really hope we can get there. So, Fulminator Mage and Collector Roof are both potential role players. I guess Liliana the Last Hope is a value piece as well, but the Mage, you know, if they're got a slow start, they can punish a greedy mana base, and it's a sack outlet to turn off their bridge from below. Collector Oof also shuts off Altar of Dementia. I really don't know whether I should be playing those cards. Really don't know. I also don't think I should be playing Collective Brutality because I like it against Dredge because their enablers are looting and what's it called? Cathartic Reunion, and then they seem to have a higher density of like claims and axes and stuff than we saw there just now. So, Collective Brutality whiffs on Hogaak, which I guess sometimes might be a viable discard target if you've got follow-up Yard Hate, and it also whiffs on Altar, so I don't know if I want that. I think these cards are all better. I think Triple Plague Engineer is fine here, but I guess let's just start with the ones that we know are great, and I think Fatal Push is probably worse here than it is against Dredge, so what if we cut that? We've kind of got to leave our Decays and Trophies in to hit the Altar. Liliana the Veil's bad. Out she goes. Tracker, probably all 4, right? Tracker is slow. Guess we leave all 4 Confidants on the play. Tarmogoyf is great. So, if we just do this, we really don't have that many more slots for like the really speculative stuff. Plague Engineer and Liliana, The Last Hope. Do we like those better than anything else? I don't know if we should be keeping all 6 discard spells in. I assume so, but I don't really know. I guess Unearth is fine to buy back a Scooz from a Lightning Axe or something. How good is Hex Drinker? I mean, seemed okay there. Really, emphasis on okay, though, not great. Oh, I didn't take out a tracker yet. Alright, let's cut a tracker. Let's just play triple Plague Engineer. Call it good. I put my faith in you, Plague Man. Seems really good in multiples here. Seems fine, honestly, if we're already competitive as a singleton as well. Alright, here it is. The decisive game. Do we 4-3? Excuse me, do we 4-1 or do we not? The hand is good. We're going to keep. And we are going to turn 1 Thoughtseize. It seems pretty safe to do that with a Surgical in hand. Opponent keeping 7. We never like to see that with such a degenerate deck. Alright, opponent has Bloodghast, Hogaak, Altar of Dementia. Well, this is rather annoying. They have... The Neonate is the only way to get something in the graveyard right now. And there's no, like, obvious surgical target, is there? I think we... Yeah, this is where my lack of expertise against this deck comes in, so sorry in advance if I do misplay here. I'm gonna really give it my best shot, but I just don't have the experience, and there's no substitute for that. I'm leaning toward taking Altar of Dementia. It's a really, really diverse hand, though. Seems like a really powerful 7 to keep. Okay, we'll take the Altar. Don't know if that's correct. Maybe it should be Neonate, but, you know, if we had another discard spell to follow up, I would definitely take the Neonate. Well, we drew another one. That's really annoying. That's really annoying. Okay. Think we have to just take our window for the Goyf here. Once more, we have Surgical as the emergency button. Hopefully they can't overwhelm a Surgical this turn. They do pretty clearly need to find other enablers, just like this Faithless Looting. Oh, that's bad. They kept a good hand and they're drawing really well. Alright, so I am just going to Surgical Bridges from below right now, I think. Am I clicking the right card? I believe I am. Yep, okay. It was just strangely hidden by the client. I believe this to be correct, but again, you guys will have to let me know if you've had the pleasure of playing against this deck more than I have. This is only my 3rd time, I believe. And most of them are kind of non-games in one direction or another. So obviously they get their value here. But exiling Bridges is pretty big game. Make sure we get the one in the graveyard. And let's take a look at their deck now that... Okay, we need to... They have a Wispmare and a Lightning Axe in hand, plus what we know of. Why is that one not going away? There we go. Okay, so Wispmare and Lightning Axe in hand in addition to what we already saw. We don't care about Wispmare, but it's understandable why they brought that in. And now that they expect us to be fully sided, they do have 2 total Dark Blast, 2 Flamekin Harbinger. Search your library for an elemental, so that tutors Wispmare. Does it? It tutors Vengevine too. Okay, that is super spicy. Just one of Lightning Axe. Okay. Go for it. So their hand is Bloodghast, Hogaak, Wispmare, Lightning Axe. I believe. Well, I don't know why they're tapping red if that's the case. Are they just axing to get... They're just axing to get Hogaak down? Sure. Just gonna try to beat us with a good old-fashioned 8-8 trample. I think they might. And, oh yeah, that kills the Tarmogoyf when they delve. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Oh, this deck, huh? Maybe they don't have this Bloodghast in hand. I might have mistracked that. Those are two decent cards to Spellbomb. Do we just Spellbomb right now? Like, playing the Goyf makes their supplementary attacks better, but really we just need to dig to an answer to the Hogaak, so I guess this is correct, but obviously I've seen better Nile Spellbombs. Alright, there's a third land. It's not nothing, but it's not exactly good either. Alright, we're probably just dying to this absolutely idiotic printing from Modern Horizons. This guy. They just had a looting out of hand. I mean, they had an insane 7, right? They just had an insane 7, and we're just dead on board. Just dead on board. But unbelievable. Stymied right at the end by the big goon. By the Arisen Necropolis himself. How do you pronounce this, by the way? Is it Hogaak? 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 Who knows? Who cares? Look at this stupid deck. Just look at it. It's insane. Alright, we're gonna kill... What do we hate the most? We're gonna kill your Bloodghast. Alright, well, you know... I may not have played that optimally, but I also don't think there was a way we beat that, really. Like, they kept 7 with a little bit of everything, and they immediately drew a Faithless Looting after we discarded them, and that was exactly what they needed to have everything go their way. Let them go off a little bit, forced our Surgical, which I believe is correct to Surgical the Bridges. Definitely would have just gotten buried otherwise. And then they got to just, whatever it was, turn 2, make the 8-8 trample. Yeah. Feels bad. We did get a free win against it in Game 1, but we couldn't pull out a sideboarded win, unfortunately. And even if we were on the Leyline plan, they had a Wispmare that they found, so maybe that would have slowed them down more, but who knows. In any case, I think this was an awesome league. I mean, what are you going to do about Hogaak? The deck might not last, it might catch a ban, and even if it doesn't, yeah, we can, it's just kind of one of those binary matchups we just kind of need to accept. Sometimes we'll get there, sometimes we won't. I think I'm actually 2-2 against it overall now, but they've all been pretty much non-games. I mean, that was among the most interactive one I've had so far, so who knows. The Burn matchup's the one that got away. Obviously, the opponent just barely snuck out both of their wins in that match against us. Feels very bad. However, the deck itself feels very good, and that is league number 8 running, my friends. 8 leagues post-Horizons. 8 positive records. We haven't gone below 3-2 yet. The 5-0 eludes us. We're running into some BS that's cramping our style for the 5-0, but we are cashing every single league with a variety of lists, all of which have a similar principle at work. So I'm happy. I'm very happy with this deck's display. Let me know what you think. And, speaking of my record, I am also now tracking all of my specific wins and losses in each matchup, And a recurring feature on this channel is going to be from now on, every 50 matches, I will show you my, Google Doc or my Excel sheet, whatever I end up typing it up on, of the matchup. So over time, we can come to accumulate some worthwhile data. And you can compare it to your own, and we can talk about it. I think it's going to be a useful tool. So instead of just saying, well, I'm doing this well this month, I'm doing not as well that month, we're just going to track all of our matchups from now on. And, it began post-Horizons. That's a good benchmark. So this was 8 leagues. We've got 40 matches under the belt. We're going to get to 50. We'll show you the results. It's going to be a still small sample size, but again, we'll build that up over time. So this was a really fun league. Plague Engineer was absolutely dominant. And like I mentioned earlier in this league, I played another one with this list off camera, also went 3-2, but Plague Engineer was also the all-star there. It came in all 5 games. All 3 copies, all 5 games. So if I were to make a change right now based on this, it would be getting one of these guys main deck somehow. I think that's definitely very, very viable. And maybe, let's say that Dredge is getting pushed out of the meta a little bit by the Hogaak Vine deck, and maybe other graveyard-based decks are true as well. Maybe we can just do this. Maybe we can just no longer have any spell bombs main, play a Plague Engineer main, do the proactive thing main. Even though this is fine, it's never dead. I think it's very main deckable still. That might be a small tweak that is a potential source of improvement. But then, if Vine really is the deck to beat, maybe we have to ask ourselves, and if we're no longer main decking spell bombs, maybe we have to ask ourselves if it's finally time to bite the bullet and join the Leyline train. Let me know if you've had experience with the spell bomb, extraction, cage spread versus your experiences with Leyline. I am kind of philosophically in favor of the value-based and diverse sideboard, but against a deck like that, maybe it just demands Leyline, and it's getting a reprint anyway, so there's that. But that would be the change. So let me know what you think about this potential swap. Let me know what you think about the list in general. Maybe there are other changes we could make, but guys, overall, I think this looked really, really strong. We just barely dropped one to burn and then got cheesed out by the Vine. So good games, very well played to our opponents. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you once again to Rocky, who is our highest tier of the Veil, highest tier Patreon supporter. I believe there are 4 or maybe even 5 of the Veil members right now, so thank you all so much. Thank you to all Patreon supporters, as always. And remember, my friends, if you are enjoying this content, there are 2 major things you can do. You can sign up on Patreon. You get access to my monthly scouting reports, Patreon exclusive, and you get to vote on what they are if you're at a high enough tier, and you get other benefits as well. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. I see on my analytics slightly over half of my viewers come from unsubscribed people. So you know who you are. Just hit the sub button. Takes you 2 seconds. Helps my channel grow. I would dearly appreciate that too. So look forward to hearing your comments, and I look forward to interacting with you in the comments section. I will talk to you soon. Hope everybody out there has a wonderful day.